What up, YouTube? It's your boy JusRzd, and today we're reviewing the season finale, the last two episodes of Agatha All Along, and man, what a finale. What a finale. This series, I was iffy with it at first, intrigued by how they set it up, but the way they ended this off, chef's kiss. This series will go down as one of the top series in the MCU's record so far as the Disney Plus series and stuff like that. It's essentially a sequel to WandaVision, and it plays on a lot of those tropes. It has a lot of those callbacks. We're gonna do the recap on the episodes pretty quickly, just because it was two episodes, a lot happened in them, but it was essentially just a brief overview. Episode 7 starts out right where episode 7 starts out pretty much where we see them coming out of the last trial, trying to figure out what happened to Lilia, and the whole time we see Billy, and I can't ever remember the Black Witch's name. I just call her the Black Witch. Forgive me. But we see Billy and the Black Witch trying to figure out what happened to Lilia. And Agatha dips out. She ends up running into Rio. They have a conversation. Agatha actually promises Rio Billy's life, in a sense. She can't take him based on what he did, but what she can't, because if she takes him, he can just reincarnate to somewhere else because he's already done it once. So what he can do is surrender his life willingly in order for Death to be able to take him. And we know now that Death is real and Rio is Death. So they're having a conversation, they're going back and forth, and Agatha's like, look, I guarantee you that I'll be able to get him to surrender his life. That's what she claims. Rio's like, all right, bet. Heads out, rips the fabric of the Witch's Road, exits out, and then the other two, Billy and Black Witch, end up meeting up with Agatha, and they ended up making it back to the beginning of the road where all their shoes are, and they're all pissed off because they're like, yo, what's happening? It was supposed to be one final trial, and now we're back at the beginning. So what is going on? So of course the Black Witch and Billy are like, man, forget all this, we out. And Agatha's like, no, we gotta go again. She's just acting real smug and real pretentious. And then so Billy gets mad, puts his shoes on. As soon as he puts his shoes on, he wakes up in what looks like a morgue, but it's pretty much the last trial. Wakes up in the last trial. Then of course once he wakes up in the last trial, we see Agatha pop up in the last trial. Then we see Black Witch pop up in the last trial, and the last trial is pretty much unleashing and unlocking everything that both of them want, that all of them want. And we see, of course, the Black Witch's whole ordeal was she wanted to be unbound and unsealed and have her powers back. And she realizes through the conversation that they're having that Agatha was actually one of the ones it was actually the person. It wasn't the man she thought it was, but it was actually Agatha who bound her. So she does an unbinding spell and gets her powers back and disappears out the trial. And so we don't see her for a little bit. Then we see pretty much Billy not understanding what he needs to do to get out of the trial, but the whole time the time is running out on them, and Agatha helps him to kind of remember, at least that's what he thinks she's doing. It kind of looks like he's placing Billy's soul into somebody through her looking like she's tracing back his memories, but we see a kind of horrific scene, low-key, because it was kids playing a prank on another kid at a pool, but they was low-key drowning him. So that was a lot going on. But anyway, he ends up putting Billy's soul in the kid. I mean, not Billy. He ends up putting Tommy's soul, which is his twin brother, Speed, into the kid that drowned. So of course, once the kid dies from the prank, he's now going to be reincarnated as Tommy. And he still doesn't know where Tommy is, but he knows that he's alive. And of course, once that knowledge comes to him, he gets out the trial as well. And Agatha's left there with only a few seconds left. She opens her locket, she pulls out her son's hair, and she sees it looks like a dandelion seed. And once Billy left, there was a crack in the ground. And so she uses the dandelion seed, grabs one of her tears, puts it in the ground, covers it up. And she's like, oh no, I need more time, because she thought she was gonna run out of time. And then a plant grows from that area. So she ends up taking the power from that plant, ends up beating the actual trial, ends up escaping. As she's escaping, she realizes that she's back at her house, and she walks outside. She sees Rio sitting on top of her roof in her Lady Death attire and just cackling her head off. And so Agatha thinks she can fight her. She ain't got no power. So she's kind of freaking out. And as Rio is pretty much going to town on Agatha and just kind of beating her up, because she feels like Agatha played her and was lying to her because the kid didn't surrender his life. Wiccan shows back up in a comic accurate fit with the headband, the scarf, and the whole blue fit. It was fire. The fit was tough. I ain't gonna hold you. And he ends up kind of knocking Death around a couple times. He's nowhere near powerful enough to really take her on one-on-one, and Agatha even reminds him, like, hey, neither one of us are strong enough to be able to take her alone. And so he looks at Agatha, he's like, hey, don't take it all, and gives her some of his power. And it looks like she was gonna take it all for a second, but you can tell she cuts it off and doesn't take all his power, but now she's fully kind of energized with power. And so her and Wiccan try to take on Death. Death flings Wiccan into the greenhouse. Then Wiccan gets up, and Death is just manhandling Agatha a little bit. And Wiccan kind of goes over there to kind of see if they can rescue her and take her up out of the fight. And she's just like, nah, she's not gonna leave unless she takes one of us, so I'll sacrifice myself. And then of course, Wiccan, being the naive child that he is, he was just like, no, take me. And then Agatha was like, you heard him, take him, and kind of flipped the script on him. And then as she's walking away, Death don't care. She's like, what are y'all finna come with me? But as she's walking away, Wiccan talks to her telepathically. He's like, oh, so is this how your son died? And that was, I ain't gonna hold you, that was a cold low blow. But it was necessary, because once he said that, she turns around, she ends up pretty much kissing Death, dying in that moment, and pretty much satisfying the deal. Like Death said, one of y'all gonna have to come with me. So she ends up dying in that moment. And then we see Wiccan just kind of make his way back home after that. Like the sky brightens up. He walks to the front of the yard. He sees the townspeople looking at him like he crazy. He looking at them like, I don't know what to say. He's just kind of in shock of everything that just transpired. And you see him kind of like get home. And as he gets home, of course his parents are worried. He's like, all right, chill. And then he goes into his room. Once he gets into his room, he sees just all the different things that he noticed on the Witch's Road are all in his room. The Wizard of Oz theme, the different themed trials, all he's starting to notice all these different things are in his room. The leaves that were on the road and all that stuff. He just starts to notice them all in his room. And as all of those things start to finally come together and make sense in his head, we see Agatha talking to him, oh, you're so much like your mother, and this wouldn't be so dramatic if you weren't a Maximoff. He starts to make everything click in a sense. It's like, hold on, so it was me the whole time? And then he hears a voice from behind, turns around and gets scared. And then that episode ends, and then the next episode picks up with Agatha's backstory. And so the next episode, which is actually the final episode, which is episode 8, actually is Agatha's backstory. It starts with her about to give birth. She's running in the woods. She's big and pregnant. ready to give birth to the child. And of course, right before she's about to give birth to the child, or right when she's trying to push, you can tell it looks like she feels like something ain't right. And she looks off in the distance. She sees Rio dressed up in her green witch garb. And she just starts crying. She's like, no, just give me more time. Just give me more time. She was like, you can't be here. You can't be. I'm just pleading for her son's life at this point. And Rio's just like, look, man, at the end of the day, he gonna die. But what I can grant you is give you more time. I can give you time. I can't tell you when I'm gonna come back, but when I come back, he gonna have to come with me. So, with all that, with all that, we go through the journey of her and her son Nicholas Scratch. We see why she named him that, because she said she made him from scratch with no magic or anything like that. So that's why she named him Nicholas Scratch. And we see just kind of their journey as she's raising him, and she's pretty much using him as a decoy to trick other witches to come. At first, it was like tricking other witches to. It looked like he was tricking other witches to steal from him. But what he was actually doing was tricking other witches to come to Agatha so she could pretty much steal and absorb all their powers. And we see that Nicholas Scratch is the one who actually came up with the song of the Witch's Road, which is just a song that him and his mother Agatha just used to sing. And she ended up turning that song into a long con because so many witches would approach her to find the Witch's Road. Because they ended up going around so many towns and so many witch communities singing that song that it ended up becoming folklore, and people didn't know if it was a myth or if it was a true legend. And so this whole time, the whole Witch's Road theme was Agatha all along, playing in everybody's face, using it as a con to steal witches' powers and to kill witches to gain their powers. And so we just see the journey of that. And we also see when Nicholas started kind of just getting tired of the trope and tired of playing other witches and witch communities to lead him to his mom so that she could kill him and absorb their powers. So he was kind of getting tired of that. He was tired of his mom killing people. And then we see that they were in the woods one day traveling. They take a rest. And as he's sleeping at night, Rio comes and takes him away. And of course, Agatha wakes up distraught. Her son's there. Her son's lifeless body is still in her arms as they slept. And when she wakes up, she's just distraught because her son's no longer there. But she knew the day was coming. She just didn't know when. And so we cut back to present day after seeing all of Agatha's backstory. And now we see Wiccan turn around, and what scared him in the last episode where it left off was actually the ghost of Agatha. And now she looks super comic accurate because she has the white hair and the old-timey dress. And so she looks mad comic book accurate. And he was like, why are you a ghost? Why are you still here? And she was just like, because you have something in mind. Because he kept the little locket with Nicholas Scratch's hair. And you can just see him asking her questions just to reassure what he was thinking. He was like, yo, was it me? Was I the one who actually created the hex in the Witch's Road? She was just like, pretty much, yeah. You actually made something that wasn't real. And you even all the trials and all that was legitimately you. And just pretty much telling him that his mom did a similar thing with the hex, and it wasn't something that she necessarily knew she was doing, but she still did it just out of her deep emotions taking over her. And so she kind of explained that. So of course he gets down and gets upset. He gets down and gets upset about that because he's like, dang, if I did that, then that means I killed all the witches. And she was just like, well, at least you saved one, because I was just gonna kill them all anyway. But so you ended up saving one, and you got her powers back. So referring to the Black Witch. But it was funny. We also saw the Black Witch kind of escape from underground in the trial and kind of fly away, Scarlet Witch style, with her powers. And in the comics, she's actually I know her character, but I can't think of her character's name. But I know in the comics, she's actually the cousin of Johnny Blaze. So I'm interested to see how they're going to do. Johnny Blaze is Ghost Rider, for those who don't know. So I'm interested to see how they're going to introduce, if she's going to come back in a later project and kind of introduce her cousin, Ghost Rider. But back to the episode. So pretty much they go through the whole episode. He goes back to the Hex and kind of shuts down the Hex, and was able to like shut it down and absorb the power of it, because it was his ability anyway. And he ends up giving Agatha back the locket, and she ends up not necessarily going away, but kind of being at peace now that she's able to get her locket. And I just think it's interesting. They end up turning around, and she was just like, now let's go find Tommy. And so that's pretty much how the episode ends, with them agreeing to go find Tommy. And as far as the finale, man, these two particular episodes back to back were actually just really good. The way the story progressed throughout this entire thing was dope. As far as ratings for episode 7 and episode 8, episode 7, I'll probably give it a 9 because it was really good. And episode 8, I'm gonna give it a 10. And here's why I'm gonna give it a 10. Because the way they played with the whole Agatha all along theme, and then kind of made the whole entire series full circle. And it not only made it full circle, but also made it a parallel to WandaVision. Like in WandaVision, we had Monica Rambeau actually leave the Hex with powers. And in this particular edition of Agatha All Along with Billy's Hex, we had the Black Witch leave with powers. So that's 2 black women with powers out of Westview. But that's neither here nor there. But just the fact that it's the subtle parallels of each situation. In both situations, Agatha did kind of lose, but she also was able to still survive in a sense. Like, she's a ghost now, but she still was able to survive in whatever, I guess. I mean, she's dead, but she's a ghost, so she's still there. So I don't know, but so she like kind of survived, I guess. Her spirit survived, maybe. And the fact that like just everything still was Agatha all along, with the Witch's Road and her son creating that whole folklore and mythology behind it, and just her kind of running with it to just take other covens' powers and kill other witches. And then them kind of flipping that on its head and making it Billy all along, as far as the whole Witch's Road and trials and all the witches that ended up dying and all that stuff. Like that was just dope. And then the whole slipping through time episode, that was just fire. Like the whole series in a whole, it started out a little slow, but when it picked up and when we got to these trials, and just, it was good. It was a great time. It was a great series. I'll probably never watch it again, but it was a great series. I'm not big on watching stuff twice. That's just me though. But yeah, and also not big on witchcrafty stuff. But man, just being able to see how this story developed, and see how they teased Tommy, they teased the family relationship. It was Billy's fault all along, but it was also Agatha's fault all along, because had she never started the whole Witch's Road thing, this wouldn't even be a thing. So that was crazy. Then we got introduced to the cosmic entity Death. And it was, man, a lot happened in this series. And this series to me was it's up there. Like if I had to, I would put it up there with WandaVision and Loki. I still got WandaVision and Loki above this series, but I had WandaVision, Loki, and Moon Knight like high up on my series. But because Moon Knight kind of fumbled towards the end with the big massive spiritual fight with Khonshu and the alligator in the middle of Egypt, but nobody noticed, so that kind of threw me off. But other than that, I love Moon Knight, so I would probably put Agatha All Along above Moon Knight. And yeah, so it would probably be a number 3 as far as top series in MCU for me, because you got WandaVision. I give Loki my number 1. I give WandaVision number 2, and then I give Agatha number 3. Now, there's been rumors saying that they might do a Wiccan and Tommy, a Wiccan and Speed series to make it a 4-part series. So right now we have WandaVision. Agatha All Along was pretty much the sequel to WandaVision, and Vision Quest is supposed to also continue the story as well. And they said that they're thinking about doing a Wiccan and Speed, so that would be a continuation as well of that story. I don't know how I feel about that one. I wouldn't be mad at it, but I also don't feel like it's necessary based on how they left the characters off and whatever they're going to do with Vision Quest. I feel like they could kind of pigeonhole that in there somewhere to where it could be a through point through all 3 stories and we don't have to get a 4th story. But if they do it, I hope they kind of keep the same greatness going, because I didn't know how this one was going to turn out, but it turned out to be really, really done really, really well to me. But yeah, that's like I said, that's my rating as far as the 2 episodes. I gave it a 9, I gave it a 10. Now as far as, and it was dope seeing Agatha's backstory, I'm not gonna hold you. As far as the entire series, like I said, I'd put it number 3 as top MCU series for me, right under Loki and WandaVision. And then as far as just an overall, I don't know what I could give it as far as an overall rating, probably like a 9.5. It's just for like an overall series. No, I give it a 9. I give it a 9 as far as overall series. To me, WandaVision and Loki were 10s. Like, they were great. We didn't know what to expect from them. The storytelling was good. The through points were dope. But one thing I can say about these particular series, since Marvel has revamped their Marvel television side, because they started to, at first when they went into the TV side, they started making like 6-hour-long movies. Well, their whole mindset behind making the series was like, we're gonna make a 6-hour-long film and cut it up as in hour-long episodes and just have 6 episodes of a show. But that's not really how you do TV. And you could kind of see it in certain series that they would drop. Because certain series, they were real hit and miss. You had, like I said, WandaVision and Loki that were great. You had Moon Knight that was good, but then you had stuff like Secret Invasion, trash. You had stuff like She-Hulk that was Then you had it was so much hit or miss. Miss Marvel was good though, I will give you that. And Hawkeye was a fun time. I wouldn't say it's super great, but it was a fun time. It was like a holiday family thing, so it was a fun time. But yeah, I'm interested to see, because Echo was decent. It wasn't the greatest thing, but it definitely wasn't the worst. And now with Agatha All Along, that was fire. So if revamping their television side is giving us this type of quality, I'm excited to see how 2025 is going to play out. I know they dropped the trailer. I already did a reaction on the channel for the trailer for their 2025 lineup, where you got Ironheart, we got Wonder Man, we got Eyes of Wakanda, we got What If, we got Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and we got Daredevil Born Again. What? I'm dumb hype for 2025. They said we taking 2024 off. We only giving you 2 series, and we only giving you Deadpool and Wolverine. But 2025, we coming out swinging, because on the movie side, we got Cat 4, we got Thunderbolts, we got Fantastic Four. Man, they finna swing for the fences next year, and I am here for it. I'm most excited about Fantastic Four, and I'm most excited about Daredevil. Man, they got my boy John Bernthal back as Punisher. I'm dumb hype. So I will be doing reviews on those shows and movies when they come out. But as far as with this series, it was a good time. It was a great time. So I'm excited to see where they go from here. And let me know in the comments below how you feel about it. Do you agree with my review? Do you agree with the ratings? Do you agree that this is a top tier film for the MCU? And what are your favorite films? I'm not films. What are your favorite series for the MCU? Starting with WandaVision going on. Like what films are what films and what series are your favorite in the MCU? Let me know in the comments below. We can chop it up, have a good old conversation about some things, and don't forget to like the video, don't forget to share the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified anytime we drop a new video. Trying to go to the channel. We cruise past 300. We on our way to 1,000 before the year's out. We can only do it with your help. So continue to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified anytime we drop a new video. And never forget, it's free soul to the show free. Let's get